Walk into a modern supermarket and you'll find tens of thousands of food products from every corner of the world. Ancient humans had none of that. No refrigerators, no packaged meals, no vitamin supplements, and certainly no fast food. Yet, despite living without modern nutrition science, many of them remained surprisingly healthy. So who actually ate better, our ancestors or us? The answer isn't as simple as comparing berries to burgers. It depends on where they lived, when they lived, and how survival shaped every bite they took. It's easy to picture prehistoric people eating nothing but roasted meat around a campfire. Movies have helped spread that image for decades. Archaeology tells a very different story. Ancient diets were incredibly diverse. People ate whatever their environment provided. Along coastlines, fish, shellfish, seaweed, and seabirds became staples. Forest communities gathered nuts, mushrooms, berries, wild fruits, honey, and edible roots. Grasslands supplied game animals, while rivers offered freshwater fish and turtles. Even insects formed an important source of protein in many regions. There was no universal prehistoric menu. Every landscape created its own cuisine. One advantage ancient humans had was variety. Instead of depending on a handful of heavily processed foods, they consumed hundreds of different wild plants throughout the year. Many contained nutrients that rarely appear in modern diets. Wild fruits were generally smaller but richer in fiber. Ancient vegetables often tasted more bitter because they contained higher concentrations of natural protective compounds now associated with health benefits. Their food looked less appealing than ours. It may have nourished them more completely. That doesn't mean life was easy. Finding food demanded enormous effort. Hunting could fail for days. Droughts destroyed edible plants. Harsh winters limited supplies. Some years brought abundance, while others brought hunger. Ancient humans didn't count calories because every calorie had to be earned. Physical activity shaped their health as much as food itself. Hunter-gatherers routinely walked long distances, climbed hills, carried heavy loads, dug for roots, gathered firewood, and tracked animals across difficult terrain. Exercise wasn't a separate activity squeezed into the evening. It was simply life. Because of that constant movement, obesity was almost certainly rare among healthy prehistoric populations. Another major difference involved sugar. Modern diets contain astonishing amounts of refined sugar hidden inside drinks, snacks, sauces, cereals, and processed foods. Ancient humans encountered sweetness far less often. Honey was treasured but difficult to obtain. Wild fruits contained natural sugars, yet they were seasonal and far less sweet than many modern varieties selectively bred over thousands of years. For our ancestors, sweetness remained an occasional reward rather than a daily habit. Salt followed a similar pattern. Today, it's added to nearly everything. Ancient people obtained sodium naturally through meat, fish, and certain plants. Excessive salt consumption, common in many modern diets, simply wasn't possible in most prehistoric environments. One of the greatest nutritional turning points arrived around 12,000 years ago. Agriculture. Growing crops transformed human history forever. Instead of constantly searching for food, communities began producing it. Wheat, barley, rice, millet, maize, and other grains supported larger populations than hunting and gathering alone ever could. But this revolution came with trade-offs. Early farmers often relied heavily on just one or two staple crops. While harvests fed more people overall, diets became less varied. Archaeological studies reveal that many early farming communities were actually shorter than some hunter-gatherers before them. Evidence of nutritional deficiencies also became more common in certain regions. More food didn't always mean better nutrition. It meant more predictable nutrition. Domesticated animals also changed eating habits. Milk, cheese, yogurt, and other dairy products gradually entered human diets where livestock thrived. Over generations, some populations even evolved the ability to digest lactose into adulthood, a remarkable example of culture influencing human biology. Food and evolution began shaping one another. Yet ancient diets weren't automatically healthier. Parasites contaminated food and water. Meat spoiled quickly without preservation. Some plants were poisonous if prepared incorrectly. Vitamin deficiencies still occurred depending on local conditions. During famines, starvation remained a constant threat. Modern food safety has saved countless lives. Ancient people never enjoyed that protection. Still, one feature of prehistoric eating continues to interest scientists. Whole foods dominated every meal. Nothing resembled today's ultra-processed products engineered for maximum shelf life and irresistible flavor. There were no artificial sweeteners, industrial seed oils, preservatives, flavor enhancers, or brightly colored packaging encouraging people to eat more than they needed. Meals ended when food ran out, not when advertisements suggested dessert. Researchers studying the teeth of ancient hunter-gatherers have uncovered another fascinating clue. Before agriculture, cavities were relatively uncommon in many populations. Once farming spread, and especially once diets became richer in grains and later refined sugars, dental decay increased dramatically. Our mouths preserve part of humanity's nutritional history. Cooking also deserves far more credit than it usually receives. Long before farming, controlled fire transformed digestion itself. Cooking softened tough plants, killed harmful microbes, released additional calories from food, and reduced the energy needed for chewing. Some scientists even argue that cooking helped fuel the growth of larger human brains by making nutrients easier to absorb. The dinner fire changed humanity long before cities did. Another overlooked advantage of ancient eating was seasonality. People naturally consumed different foods throughout the year because nature determined availability. Spring offered fresh greens. Summer brought fruits. Autumn supplied nuts and seeds. Winter often relied more heavily on preserved foods and hunted animals. That constant rotation created nutritional diversity modern diets sometimes lack. Today, many people can buy strawberries in winter and pumpkins in spring without thinking twice. Our ancestors never had that luxury. Perhaps the biggest misconception is imagining ancient people following one perfect diet. They didn't. An Arctic hunter surviving largely on seals and fish ate completely differently from someone gathering tropical fruits in Southeast Asia or harvesting wild grains in the Middle East. Human success came from flexibility, not a single nutritional formula. We adapted to environments rather than forcing environments to adapt to us. Even mealtimes were different. Ancient humans rarely followed breakfast, lunch, and dinner schedules. They ate when food became available. Some days included large meals after successful hunts. Others involved smaller portions spread throughout the day while gathering plants. Nature, not the clock, set the menu. So did ancient humans eat better than we do? In some ways, yes. Their diets contained fewer processed ingredients, greater natural variety, and far less refined sugar. Constant physical activity supported overall health, and whole foods formed the foundation of daily nutrition. In other ways, absolutely not. They faced unpredictable food shortages, dangerous contamination, seasonal hunger, parasites, and nutritional risks that modern agriculture and medicine have largely reduced. The real lesson isn't that ancient diets were perfect. It's that they evolved to solve entirely different problems. Our ancestors worried about finding enough food to survive tomorrow. Many people today struggle with having too much food that offers too little nutrition. Perhaps that's why the question remains so compelling. Looking back at prehistoric meals isn't about copying them exactly. It's about understanding how millions of years of evolution shaped the human body before supermarkets, delivery apps, and processed snacks transformed the way we eat. The ancient table was smaller, simpler, and far less predictable. Yet every meal carried the same purpose it does today, to give human beings another chance to face tomorrow. Recent scientific studies of ancient bones have added another layer to this story. By analyzing stable isotopes preserved inside human skeletons, researchers can estimate the kinds of foods people regularly consumed thousands of years ago. These chemical signatures reveal surprisingly varied diets, with some communities relying heavily on fish, others on wild game, and others on plants gathered from their local environment. Even today, new discoveries continue to reshape what we think we know about ancient burials. Ground-penetrating radar, DNA analysis, and advanced imaging technologies now allow archaeologists to study graves without disturbing them as much as earlier generations did. These techniques have revealed forgotten cemeteries beneath fields, hidden family relationships within burial sites, and migration patterns spanning entire continents. Each excavation reminds us that a grave is more than an archaeological site. It is the final chapter of someone's life. By treating these ancient resting places with respect, researchers aren't simply uncovering history. They're preserving the stories of people who, despite living thousands of years ago, experienced love, loss, hope, and remembrance in ways that remain deeply familiar today.